Hello and welcome to Proof of Concept. I'm using new software this week, so it's in white. Ignore that. Anyway, I'm Alex Twinspark, and today I have Daylan and Tyler. Introduce yourselves, boys.
Hi, I'm Daylan.
And I'm Tyler.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to put text boxes in, so this is Tyler here, this is Daylan here, and this is a recreation of me down the bottom.
To be fair, that's a shockingly accurate representation of you.
It is literally a carbon copy of my face made with tape.
If you would have been able to put some red hair on there, I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference, if I'm being honest.
Stick a red wig on it. No one would know. We still have him.
Yeah.
We called him Derek. He's in my back garden right now. He's been there for about 2 years. He still exists. He confuses and scares a lot of people. He's great.
You might be able to use that to use the carpool lane.
I've considered it. I genuinely have. I have thought about just slapping him in my car and leaving him there all the time. Then probably I have a 2-seater car now, so it's not practical. But yes. Talking of cars, what have we been up to in the world of, well, the automotive world in the past 2 days, last 2 weeks even? Daylan, what about you? What have you been up to in the last 2 weeks?
I'm trying to one before last. Oh yeah, some friends that won Life America. I went and said hi. I got a transmission for the Miata.
5-speed this time, isn't it?
Yes, 5-speed.
Is it in the Miata yet?
No, it's in front of it
Have I got to bully you into putting
because
it
the
in?
engine still has to come out. The engine still has to come out so I can fix some leaks. That's about it actually at my end.
What about you, Tyler? What have you been up to?
Oh, a bunch of bullshit with buses. Wait, am I allowed to cuss on this podcast?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yeah, just a bunch of stuff with buses in the shop, and then did some transmission work on my flatbed, but that's about it. I work on stuff all day, every day. I try not to work on things in my time off.
That honestly makes a fair bit of sense, actually. I should never ever work on heads ever again. Just out of out of spite. Then again, all day I've been building blocks today. Engine blocks kind of look cool. I want a kitchen table made with engine blocks. This week I had my car welded. I also went up to Scotland and slept in a Rover because the Saab that we all thought was actually going to be really good just died. And I actually did exhaust work, and it didn't kill me for once because I borrowed an impact driver. And turns out it's really easy to do things when you've got an Ugga-Dugga.
Yeah, the other day I adapted my 3/4 Milwaukee down to 1/4-inch drive for something. It was a great time.
They're great. You just press the button, it goes burn, and everything falls off. I had my exhaust off for like half an
I
hour.
broke my 1/2-inch drive Cobalt, and I've been missing it a lot.
I'm going to have to give this back at some point, which means I'm going to be without an impact driver. And going back from that is like going back from wearing glasses. I'm going to be going back to being blind. I don't like the idea of it. I might have to kill Parent so I can keep it. Also, for those of you wondering
Or you
where
could just,
Parent is,
buy one.
I could, but that involves spending money, and I am cheap. For those wondering where Parent is, he's off on a gin walk, I think, so he couldn't make it for today, which is why Tyler has very kindly stepped in. Although I'm hoping we can have you on again at some point in the future, Tyler, because Tyler is a very good friend of mine. So much so, in fact, that you were one of the first people to get my my merch stickers. Have you had yours yet, or has Daylan still got it?
No, it's still in Kentucky.
Yeah, it's still in Kentucky. We haven't been in the same state yet since that showed up like yesterday.
I mean, comparatively size-wise, you know, the state is only like next door. It's just like me driving.
Yeah, but have you seen fuel prices and what I drive?
Yeah, that's a fair
I
point.
do enjoy the stickers went from L.A. to Stafford,
Yep.
and then now they're in Glasgow, Kentucky, and then they'll just go to like Nashville adjacent.
I was really tempted to take them with me up to Scotland and mail them from Glasgow to Glasgow, because in my head that's funny. But I thought that might take a bit too much time. But those stickers have been to the US more than I have now, by a long way. Twice. That's 2 times more than I've gone. We need to get over there at some point. Anyway, are you lads ready to start the topic of the week?
Yeah.
So,
I still don't know what it is, so I'm in.
all right. So,
Why are we here, Alex?
well, we are talking about Ford, specifically Ford of Europe, because you two have both had experiences with American Fords, and they're very different. Because you had a Mustang, didn't
Actually,
you?
I have driven a Fiesta, which is roughly just the same.
Yeah, but I think you only had yours because I think the 6th gen came over there, which is what my girlfriend has, which I don't mind. I think they're all right. But you missed a whole host of crap that we got. Oh boy! So we got things like the Ford Fusion up here in the top left, which is like a Ford Fiesta but made dismal. I say this. Ford does make actually a fairly decent amount of stuff. So we got things like the Ford Transit up here in the top right hand corner. I'm going to put the mouse off the screen before I get distracted with that. The Ford Transit is actually known as the backbone of Britain because I think something ridiculous like 70% of all vans in the UK are Ford Transits. This is my favourite one. This is the Mark V. This is the smiley one. I think it's a Mark V. Might be a Mark III. Anyway, this is the smiley one, which is always really happy. And they also had things like the Capri and the Escort Cosworth because, they've made sports cars and things in the past. Because
the Capri actually was sold here as a Mercury. Actually, no. No, it was a Ford still.
Wasn't it
I
a
know
Maverick?
that it has one. No. They had Maverick too, but they had just the Capri as well.
I know,
That
weirdly.
Capri. I know. There's a guy in, I believe, North Carolina, and I used to talk to him online that has one.
Do you know,
Okay, I've been staring at these
Australia...
pictures for a minute here, trying to figure out what their version of the Fusion is. That's a Transit Connect headlight.
Yes, the Transit Connect is based off the Fusion.
That would have saved me a lot of thinking.
Yeah, I realised that. I should have said that ahead of time.
Is
I
the
can only
current
apologise.
Fusion the same as the Mondeo?
The Ford,
there is no current
I
Fusion.
think the
No,
current...
they discontinued it, but I think it was the same chassis when it was
Yes, I
being
think
produced.
the last generation Ford Mondeo did get sold as the Fusion over there. But I think that's...
I liked the last generation of Fusion. The
We had one.
titanium's really nice.
Yeah, and they're actually like surprisingly big. Well, by UK standards, by your standards over there, tiny, but they're quite sizable inside. They're comfortable, and the engines were pretty decent. We've had to replace ours with a Volkswagen Passat, and we don't like it at all. Yeah, this is what Ford gives us in Europe. But as sort of stated with things like the Capri, which is obviously based on your Mustang, and the Cosworth Escort, which is just based on, I'm assuming, Cosworth doing a lot of drugs in the 90s. Like, they do have some weird performance streak to them, if you will. So, are you interested in finding out what that streak has created?
Yeah, sure.
Well, up first we have the Ford Fiesta RS. Now, lads, what are we thinking about this?
That's the first-gen Focus RS, but smaller. Actually doesn't look that smaller because I think those flares make it as wide as the Focus.
It's not actually far off. And see, I would be able to tell you about this, but I've accidentally closed my notes because I forgot about that. Here we go. So this came out in 2004, which is, I think, 2 years after the Focus RS was discontinued because it wasn't making any money. And this thing was really popular. So, as you noticed, obviously, it's been given bigger bumpers and wider arches, which I think look sick as anything. It's also been given a load more cooling because, if I remember correctly, they put the Mondeo engine in this. A lot of the technical stats on this are a little bit like...
Which one,
fuzzy.
though? Because there were some good ones and there were some bad ones, if you got all the engines that we got in the Fusion.
It would have been... It wasn't the V6. It would have been, I think, the turbocharged
The 2.5?
four-cylinder. Possibly.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get anything that... At this point, in the U.S., everything Ford would have been naturally aspirated that small.
See, this was turbo. Again, I couldn't find stats on the engine. What I do know is it would have had 190 horsepower or more, and it weighed about 1,100 kilos, which I haven't got a clue how much that is in pounds, but it's some. It's not particularly heavy. It's lighter than my Alpha was, for example. In fact, I think it's about the same weight as your MX-5, Daylan, roughly.
Seems reasonable.
But yeah, this thing apparently used a lot of rally-derived technology. So again, stats on this aren't like amazingly easy to come by, but apparently, so it would have had like a pretty decent trick diff. It's got turbo anti-lag according to some sources, which I thought was pretty cool. Yeah, this thing like looked great. In fact, the suspension setup on it as well was obviously, like I said, wider and lower and squatter, but it was a lot stiffer as well. So apparently, this could handle things like jumps if you wanted it to. Because they based a lot of this off the rally car, the Focus rally car, and just took bits and pieces of that. I didn't get any photos of the interior, but actually the interior on this was like showroom ready, because a lot of it was nicked from the ST. because Ford really, really wanted to make this. It's basically a Fiesta ST interior, but with like really deep bucket seats and some RS like badges all over the place. But this thing was like, Ford loved this. All the fans loved this. So much so, in fact, that the purchases and the pre-orders and all that for the ST dropped significantly when this was like shown off at the Geneva Motor Show, because everyone was waiting for this to come out to buy this instead. That's how popular this was.
Interesting that is a Ford of Europe is largely UK based, correctly, and left-hand drive. That's right.
So there's a mixture. So Ford of Europe is largely UK and Germany based. So I believe this one was developed in Germany. But yeah, I didn't actually clock that until you pointed it out. So the really sad thing about this was,
If you look in the Discord chat, I found interior photos.
I'm gonna have to check the Discord. Yeah, that is the interior. It's as you can see, it's like that is showroom ready. That is showroom fresh. Very standard, very, ready for production. Alex, in post-production, if you can be bothered or have time, or even remember, can you please add this in post and just put it over the top? Thank you.
190 horsepower sounds a bit like the U.S. market SVT Focus, which I think was similar to the ST170 Focus, which was naturally aspirated, like 2-liter.
I think it
was.
I think you had like a completely different
It was
engine
the
or something.
Duratec.
Yeah, it was a weird, because no one wanted to give you guys performance cars for some reason, because none of them sold. So they gave you like a really weird version.
We do get them. We just don't get anything small in performance. We just jump straight to V8 and up.
Yeah, but you guys exclusively make all the V8 and up.
Well, we had the SVT Focus, which was basically U.S. market equivalent to the ST170, not quite as spicy, but it was there. And then later we had like the ST Turbo Focus, then the Fiesta ST Turbo Fiesta, which the Fiesta ST U.S. market is basically just the same as your European market Fiesta ST, just different emissions and safety standards.
Mm.
And then there was the Focus RS, the newer one, which of course was turbo all-wheel drive, new Focus.
Didn't that basically get killed in the US because dealers just marked them up massively?
Dealers are still just marking everything up massively.
It's great when
I
you
saw
got
a
surge
Corvette
pricing
going the other
dynamic.
day. It had like a $3,000 sticker package on it that they wanted another $70,000 for. It's ridiculous.
Jesus. Okay, I'm glad they can't really do that in the UK, because that sucks. But yeah, that's that's not good. The sad thing is, obviously,
It was literally just an appearance and sticker package, a $3,000 option, and they tacked an extra $70,000 on the price for it
Yeah,
because
getting
there's limited production.
new stuff at MSRP, especially cool stuff, just isn't a thing.
I mean, I think over here the closest we got is because like new cars are so scarce at the moment with the microchip shortage. We're getting like a lot of dealers who are buying. Like, if you say you just got a car and it's finally arrived after 2 years of waiting, they're willing to pay more than you spent on it to buy it off you to sell it for even more again because people are so desperate for new cars. That's about the closest I can really think.
When I worked at Ford, we had one allotment for the new GT at our dealership. And when that one allotment showed up, it was a bid between the people that had been on the approved list to get it because it was an unspoken for allotment.
Oh,
I think that thing went for almost double sticker.
Jeez. I mean, that kind of makes sense, though, because that is a kind of a bidding war. So, logical. Maybe not super cool and fun, but that makes some sense. But yeah, that sucks. Dealers, don't mark things up. That's gay. And I can say that, and it's not a hate crime. Huzzah.
Was this Fiesta RS supposed to be all-wheel drive? Because I know the Focus RS wasn't.
Again, I can't seem to find. I looked into that. I couldn't seem to find. I think there were reports that they had considered it. I think this one is front-wheel drive, as shown, because this was a fully functional prototype. Nobody got to drive it though. Only the Ford people did. But I think they had considered making it. They wanted to make it four-wheel drive eventually if they did make it.
Front-wheel drive, like almost 200 horsepower. That would have been fine. That would have been pretty good.
Well, I imagine, because again, they said 190 horsepower or more, so it might have even had like well above 200 horsepower. This is the thing is that again, they wanted to make this, but they kind of kept a lot of the actual info close to their chests. which is bizarre because again, you look at this. This is production ready, and unfortunately, Ford's bean counters just cut it off right at the 11th hour. They were like, "Oh yeah, and people love it. Can we make it now?" And they're like, "The Focus RS lost a lot of money. No." And unfortunately that was it. But yeah, they wanted to do a lot of stuff with this, and I think this from some of the places I had read, 4-wheel drive was definitely on the cards. I think this thing looks awesome. I think it's got all the drama of all like the early to mid 2000s hyper hatches. Your Focus RS, your Alfa Romeo GTA, and things like that. I think this is just right in terms of just the madness appeal. Would this have been any good in America at all, do you think?
I don't know, because at the time it came out, I don't know that there was the market here to really sell them.
What year was this again?
2004. With
So
I
that
think
would have been while like the Cobalt SS and the SRT4 Neon were there, which.
To be fair, neither of those are hatches, but I don't know that the market would have been big enough to add another because
at the time
the Saturn Sky Ion Redline should have been a thing around then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hatches just weren't a thing at the time. No one wanted to do them. And that's why, like, the Cobalt Neon, the spicy version of those were like the coupes and sedans. So there was no neon hatch like this, or there was no Cobalt hatch.
I always find it kind of interesting because you guys
are also bigger than this, too.
So that's the thing I always find kind of interesting about them making, obviously, the saloons, because you guys had the Escort longer than we did. And it died off over here, obviously, because we had the Focus, and then that's become, the Fiesta is the best-selling UK car. But the Focus vastly outsold the Escort, and you guys got it for another generation. For that exact reason. But
if you think about the hatchback argument on them, Dodge did have the Caliber SRT4, which nobody knows exists and nobody bought.
We had that.
It wasn't
here.
Much.
It looks
You
terrible.
had the SRT4 Calibers?
We had the Caliber. I don't know if we had the ST4. I think we did, because I think I have seen someone with one.
Well, the SRT Calibers is interesting. That's essentially Rally Art Lancer hatchback without the all-wheel drive.
Yeah, it's a 2.4, not the 2.0 that was in the Neon.
Yeah. Well, it's the 4B12 turbo. Or I don't know. It was a turbo 2.4. Yeah, that was the. So it's essentially the Evo 10 engine, but bigger with a smaller turbo.
Nice.
They are a lot of fun, but nobody bought them.
I think there's someone over here with Oh no, he's got what's the one that looks like a Dodge Charger but smaller?
The Avenger?
Yes, he's got one of them in my local town with the V6, which he's straight piped and it sounds terrible. And he's put loads of like aerodynamic strake fins all over it, even on the windscreen wipers. So it is the tackiest looking thing you've ever seen. It's truly is something to exist. It's yeah. But yeah, that there is the Ford Fiesta RS, which unfortunately obviously they never made, which I think is a massive shame. I would have loved to have bought these, and in fact the fact that everyone stopped buying the ST to buy this, I think so would most of the UK. But unfortunately never came to thing. Would you like to see something that sort of did make it into, use as other things?
Yeah, sure. What we got here? Then
I bring you the super vans. Have you guys must have seen these before in some, probably the third one, but I'm assuming you've both seen some form of the super van.
The bottom right one in Forza is about all I know about these.
I'm actually the bottom right one and then the top left, the Supervan 1. I have a rough understanding of what the Supervan 1 was. And that was V8 and essentially was just there to like stress test the platform. What it was.
What it was, you are very right in saying it's a V8. They literally... Oh, hang on a second. My dog is barking at my door. Give me 2 moments. So, we'll pretend that I didn't just disappear to go sort my dog out, and I'm going to edit that big gap. And this is what you're going to hear. So, if you get confused as the listener, you can understand why. So, what it was, in 1971, you have all these sort of track meets with, oh, look at our new models, and let's meet the owners club and what have you. Ford showed up to a Brands Hatch like meat like that, and they just brought the super van. And I am not fluffing or bullshitting when I say they literally took the Ford GT40 chassis and bolted a van on top. That is literally a bone stock Ford Transit long wheelbase body bolted on top of a Ford GT40 thing with some slight flared arches to it, which again I think they weren't even done like amazingly professional. They were done, oh well, probably better to cover the wheels, and it's ridiculous. You can see.
I love the stance of that thing with the front tires kicked out on it. It is. I would drive that.
The thing is, right, because of that weird stance that looks quite cool, it did mean that it lifted a lot, especially because the aerodynamics of the van are that of a stock van. So
it doesn't matter. It'd be fine.
It had a 400 brake horsepower V8, again straight from the GT40. And it could.
71. Was this the 427 or the 5 liter?
I didn't have that written down in the notes. I I believe it was all I got is 400 horsepower. So, if I remember correctly, it was from one of the Le Mans used ones.
Yeah, the engines in those did change though.
Yeah, I think the first or maybe second year, they had 427s. After that, that's actually where your 5 liter displacement gap for that class came from.
I believe it was the 5 liter one in that case. But I that is unconfirmed.
What year did you say it was for the chassis?
It didn't actually give me a date for the chassis. It just said. Again, you can tell I put a huge amount of effort into this week's episode.
21 is when they brought the van out. So.
Because none of these have actually got that much in the way of performance stats, because they're all kind of hidden away in all the research notes I've looked at, which is a bit annoying. I've got some interesting facts on them in terms of power, but yeah, I couldn't find power figures for most of them or displacements. I do know that the Supervan 1 could do 400 brake horsepower, and it could only reach 150 because the aerodynamics on this are that bad that when you're going at high speeds, it lifts the body significantly like away from the chassis to the point where like it just kind of blocks so much air it can't go any faster. So it's not just aerodynamically limited by the fact it's a brick, it also just tries to separate itself at high speed as well, which is fantastic. They also use this a lot for drag racing as well, because obviously it was very quick off the line. I think they put like slightly custom suspension on to make it work, but otherwise it was genuinely just a van bolted to a chassis. That was all they did here work-wise, which I know sounds dismissive because there's a lot more work to it than that. But yeah, this is a very UK man in a shed thing, and it's glorious. But the thing was, they did this fairly late in the Transit's lifespan, the first generation, because they changed the look of it in 1978 to make it look more like the then concurrent van, which I annoyingly don't have any photos of. I can only find photos of it looking like this. However, they did redo it again in 1984. Oh, I've done that twice now. I've entered to the next page twice. I'm amazingly professional, as you can tell. So the one here on the right and the bottom left, that is Supervan 2, and they brought that out in 1984. This time at the Donington Park Truck Racing Grand Prix. And this was a promotional vehicle for the Mark II transit van, which was going to go out of production the next year. As you can tell, Ford is really good with the timing on this one. Now this one they put like a lot of work into, so underneath it's a Ford C100 Group C car. So again, this is a mid-engined rear-wheel drive. This one's a Cosworth DFL engine. Again, I couldn't find power figures on this, which is a bit annoying. But this time they wanted to do a proper job of it, so it is a all 100% custom fiberglass shell, which as you can see they've put a big air dam on the front, they've given it a big splitter, they've given it massive side inlets, and in some forms they've got the massive spoiler at the back here as well, although that's not always on the car, sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off. But yeah, this thing is mad. It would have had around 500 horsepower. Would either of you like to hazard a guess at what the top speed of this van was?
I don't know. I'm afraid to.
174.
Yeah.
Did you by any chance Google that, Daylan?
No, I
I was going to
definitely
say
do not have,
175. Is that
definitely do
actually the top
not have
speed?
the Motor Trend article about these vans and on up on my phone right now.
It is 120. It has 174 miles an hour exactly. So.
590 horsepower too, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
That is terrifying in a van.
Yep. Thank you, Daylan, for doing better work at this than me.
It just happens to look like a van.
Yeah, it is literally just a. It is like an accurate dimension-wise replica of the then current van, although I think it is lower. As I'm fairly sure that.
I mean, the aerodynamics of the brick are the part I'm the most concerned about. I can't imagine what a good crosswind would do at that speed to you.
Hey, it's got a splitter that keeps it down to the floor.
So we're not taking this remote racing, is what you think? We're not.
Oh, I'm 100% dumb enough. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm also 100% dumb enough. I'll be co-pilot.
Bring back ride-along mechanics. You can sit there and pump oil as we go.
I could be a mechanic, navigator, and also general. I got to wipe your face when you get a bit too sweaty. God, that was a mad era in motorsport. That. Oh, but yeah, that is that's Supervan 2, which they did all that work on, made it look good, and then retired it immediately a year later because they stopped making that generation of Transit and moved on to the next generation, the smiley face. So they decided after literally 10 years, they went, in 1994, they just thought, hey, remember that Supervan 2 we built? What if we did it again? So what they did for that one was they just took the body off and made a new fiberglass body and took the engine out and put a slightly more powerful one in. And this time, again, they went a bit more overboard. So this is actually a smaller version than the actual real van. So it's a 7/8 replica. And again, they've given it even more aerodynamics. So this time, it's got the bigger side scoops, it's got the bigger spoiler, and they gave it a more powerful Cosworth HB engine, which I couldn't find the figures on. I'm assuming you've already got the figures up in front of you.
630 to 700 horsepower, depending on boost.
Thank you. So it's turbocharged.
Yes.
Daylan, thank you for doing the research for my episode on the fly for me. It truly is a service you provide.
It may not be turbocharged. It's the HB V8. So it's actually the same engine as the McLaren MP4/8.
I was gonna say it's used in a lot of.
So it's the same engine as Ayrton Senna's F1 car.
Yeah, as I say, that engine was used a lot in F1. So it's an F1 powered van. It's a van, and this handled pretty well too. In fact, you can see it in the photo here. It's going up Goodwood Circuit. This thing still exists, if I remember correctly, because they used this for a while. So they made it in 1994, sorry, and they used it until 2001 as their promotional vehicle. And in 2004, they refurbed it again, and then just kind of kept using it. It currently has a Cosworth V6 in it because apparently the HB was a bit impractical and hard to maintain. So it has a more sensible V6 in it now, but it's still capable of I think 150 odd horsepower, 150 odd mile per hour. Yeah, the Supervan is just a completely ridiculous display of.
The V6 is a 3-liter V6 Cosworth designed, 260 horsepower.
There we go. That's not a slouch. Even
they reined it back a bit.
I still think if you gave this to Sabine Schmidt, she could have, done that sub 10-minute lap in a van.
I'm just sitting here thinking the GT is back in production, and the Transit is now a global market van.
I see what you're thinking, Tyler. You've got the
Supervan 4 needs to hurry up and get here.
Well, apparently they had considered doing another Supervan. I found it's one of those things that there's plenty of rumors about for years. Apparently there was a rumor that they had considered doing a Supervan 4 at one point. I know there wasn't an official Supervan 4, so there was
well, if no one else is going to do it, you guys want to help me cut a hole in the middle of a Transit and we'll drop a 5.2 from a GT350 in the center?
Absolutely.
Alternatively, I would accept Transit Connect Supervan with WRC chassis.
Well, here's the thing. They did do a WRC themed one. I think they did kind of tune up a little bit. It wasn't like a proper Supervan, but they did kind of take a regular their their Ford Rally Team van, and they tuned that up a bit, and that was kind of like the unofficial Supervan 4. But yeah, I want there to be more Supervans because they're weird and cool and great. Supervan 3 does still exist. That's the thing. That is still about, and I want to find out where it is and watch it because apparently it is incredible, like to hear in person.
Supervan 2 was reshelled to be 3, or did they make another chassis?
No, it is reshelled. In fact, in 2007, they considered taking the body back off and just restoring it to the original race car. But yeah, Supervan 2 is the same as Supervan 3, but with a different engine and, again, with a more aerodynamic,
So is Supervan 1 still in existence then?
Supervan 1 still exists, I'm fairly sure. It's owned by a private collector from it, but there have been photos, like more recent photos of Supervan. I'm going to double check.
I think I'm sure reading says Supervan 2 is the same it was turned into Supervan 3.
Supervan 2 doesn't exist.
So 2 is gone. So 2 is just 3 now.
One of my favorite things with the Supervan 3 is at one point they just painted to look like to answer your question, yes, Supervan 1 still exists. In fact, it still exists as late as 2019 by looks of things. But yeah, no, the Supervan 3 got painted up as a Royal Mail van for quite some time. It got repainted to where it is in this bottom picture here at some point. I think 2004 odd. But yeah, they were just running it looking like a Royal Mail van. And I find the idea of that even funnier. Just, oh, my mail's been delivered. Oh, the van is doing the speed of sound. But yeah, that is the Supervan. Are you guys ready for our last of the day?
Yes.
For the third time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't know what it is, but yeah, I'm in.
So, I realize you're having a jab at me. You know what? For that, I'm gonna go backwards one just to spite you. No. So, our last one of the day is the Ford Vizos. This was from the 2003 Geneva. This is from the 2003 Geneva Motor Show. Have either of you seen this before?
No.
Really? Okay, so this was actually featured on Top Gear most prominently, and that's where most of the figures and things are available for this, because they didn't actually put a lot into making this functional. What this was like
a Volvo C30 in the rear, and that's about it. I'm gone.
Well, it's designed to look like the Ford Capri, as like a revival. I don't know if you can see that in the sort of the side vents and the what have you, and the horrible roof visor thing, which I put in specifically to annoy Powern, which is a shame because he's not here because I can't annoy him with it now. But this thing was designed to be a tech display, so all of the dials on it are like 100% digital. All of the mirrors, they've been replaced with cameras, so that's actually something that has been adopted. So I don't know if you can see in the door here, there's like a little slot that pops out to show a mirror when you actually need the mirror. But the thing about this that was really interesting to me, so Ford at the time obviously knew that people like tuning their cars and what have you, and they knew about the original Capri. People liked fiddle with it and fettle, and they knew how with things like Fast and Furious and what have you, tuning was becoming a thing. So the idea they had with this was they were going to make it so you could tune it with ease. So what they did was they planned kind of like this social media forum type thing for tuning. So the idea was there was going to be a plug under the bonnet. You'd plug it into the thing and you could tune it on your computer. But if you liked that tune or you couldn't get it tuned properly, you could go onto the forum, go to Ford yourself, and then download one of Ford's like preset tunes. Or you could upload your tune and download your friend's tunes to tune it the way they have or make them. So the idea was they wanted it to be like a social media kind of platform idea with engine tuning.
Okay, but I have friends that are assholes, and there are going to be some really bad tunes loaded. That sounds like a horrible idea.
But the idea was that you download from people who aren't assholes.
Have you been on the internet ever?
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah, okay. You got a fair point there.
Just label something a max power tune and upload like a 22-to-1 airfield ratio in it with all the timing.
No, it's going to be a tune where it's like pretty good tune, until about $5,000, and then you just spike the timing and cut fuel.
You just program it to lightly jab your friends. So what you do is you don't even change the tuning of the thing. Just have everything else turn off on the car. It's like you go around a corner, you're doing
Completely
5,000.
stock tune, but I give it like a 30% throttle stop.
Yes. or you have it so all the lights no longer work. Just you go above 5,000 grand. Oh, you have no headlights now. But they genuinely had the idea that you could basically plug it in and just customize it. I think that's a really cool idea. In terms of looks, I think it is one of the ugliest things they've ever made. This is horrendous to look at. I mean, the front looks alright, but every other angle is...
So I'm trying to figure out the flap on the roof.
Yeah, so we had this debate with Subaru.
Is that supposed to be to help with entry or what? Because you definitely can't open that going down the road.
Yeah, I don't know. So again, Subaru did this. We had a huge argument about this, and I put this photo in specifically for that. I don't understand the point. If you're going to do that, surely give it a gurney flap? Wouldn't that make more sense? Just open the...
Now, if it opens that far and then just comes off, that makes sense.
But I don't think it does.
It's a really cool one-time use feature, though.
Yeah, but what's the point?
Is that the ejector seat?
I don't think they put that. I mean, you could perhaps tune that in. You know, you
I would 100%. If those are electronic latches, would tune to have those pop the first time you go over 80.
Congratulations, you own a Targa now.
If it's really strong latches, I mean, that's like forced air cooling for your face.
It's active aero. It's downforce. I also happens to put downforce on
an air brake.
That would definitely be lift and not downforce. Definitely.
All right, that might be true. Maybe if you open them, you can tune them to flap fast enough the car takes off like a bee. That works, right? I'm a scientist.
This is terrible. This is an awful concept.
It was, but I thought that whole downloading the forum tunes and what have you, I thought that would be a very... I thought you guys would have been all about that. But yeah, I didn't consider the fact that everyone...
No, we've been on the internet.
Yeah. Do you know what would have been really funny is being on the forums.
The third party has done this. It's called HP Tuners.
Yeah, I have retuned a lot of vehicles that somebody has got their computer and bought some cheap software and thought that they knew what they were doing, and it never turns out good.
But the idea was you'd have to use Ford's official software.
It doesn't make it any better.
So
There's a reason that some tuning software is mildly complicated to use, is you try to keep idiots out.
So the reason in practice it's terrible because you can't. I guarantee you, like, if you have a car and you mess with the ECU tuning on it, you have trashed any hope of a warranty on it. Also, that also jeopardizes their EPA certification in the U.S. and Europe has a similar emission certification. That's if you mess with ECU tuning, you have trashed that certification.
Yeah, some states you have tune in there. It has to be a file that's been reapproved by the state, like a calibration. You can't just write your own at any time.
So this idea that I thought was really good is actually crap.
Yeah,
it's really probably the single-handed reason that thing didn't go into production.
Yeah. I mean, that and the fact they had no plans to ever build. This was literally just meant to be a showcase. Look at all that technology. All the journalists fell over it oh god, isn't it amazing? Because it looked vaguely like the Capri, which is one of the things I hate about car journalists, especially
It does not look vaguely like the Capri at all.
No, it doesn't. It's
just, if you wouldn't have told me it was supposed to look like a Capri, that would have never come up as a guess. I'm seeing some Volvo in there and some soul-crushing depression, but no Capri.
It looks more like a Chrysler Crossfire than a Capri.
Yeah,
it really does.
Yeah, like a Chrysler Crossfire mixed with a Volvo C30.
Except for whatever the hell that front end is.
Okay, if you look at the picture with the door open, that's fine. But then you close the door and realize that the front's kind of longer.
Yeah, and then you've got to close your roof down. I mean, that roof seems like the most inconvenient.
Can I say though that this thing looks like most EV startup companies prototype cars today?
It does, doesn't it? Oh no, I can't unsee that now.
That is every EV prototype. Give us some money for a down payment picture right there.
Yeah, and then they just vanish with your money 10 years later. We need to do the Dale at some point. The Dale is a concept that I need to cover. That is exactly what it was.
Interesting. This is very deep into mandatory airbag territory.
I'm going to assume because they were doing the whole concept thing, they weren't going to
Well, the
bother.
Mustang does have the small round airbags like that in the center. It's just those are the
That's
ones
too
that
small
launch
for
the
an
steel
airbag,
caps
yeah.
at your face.
That's too
It'd have
small
to be
for
a good
an
airbag. It'd be fine.
Just don't crash. Tune it
I
so
mean-
it can't
I
go
mean-
above 20 miles an hour.
You might crash it when your downloaded tune shits a rod through the side of the block and puts oil into your tire.
Help! I've downloaded
Or
a
I
tune. It puts
Program
me.
it to
It
money
doesn't.
shift at 100.
I think it was manual, so you couldn't do that.
I only see two
Damn it.
pedals.
Damn it! I take it back.
Ha! Yes, first gear shifts at 100.
Things they never actually put an engine in it, so there's no actual performance. This is literally just to go, hey, look at our fancy technology and the ideas we have. Which, in fairness, a lot of it got
Its
used.
production, it would have been like a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and front-wheel drive. It wouldn't have been anything good.
Oh,
They
I
would
don't
have
know.
ruined
I think
it.
they would have put the ST220 V6 in it, as they had that, and that was in wide use at the time. I think they probably would have put that in there at the very least, as a top
What-
strip.
Did you guys ever get the Mercury Cougar platform over there? Like the last generation where they were front-wheel drive?
I think your Mercury Cougar was based on the Mondeo, if I remember correctly. Because if I remember correctly, isn't it it's like a coupe, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Which makes me think of the Ford Puma,
Yeah,
which is
so
a whole way cooler thing.
so yeah, we did get that over here as the Ford Cougar. Yeah, it was literally a Ford Mondeo, but slightly stretched and 2 doors. So
That platform underneath that body, that's what we would have got.
it's not a bad platform. They did well in motorsport over here.
No, I'm pictures it even worse. This would have had the Taurus Vulcan V6 in
Oh god,
it.
I forgot those existed.
No, you got to remember, this is Ford of Europe. We have V6s that aren't terrible. Sometimes.
Hey, shut up! You didn't get front-wheel drive
V8.
V8s.
They would have dusted off the twin spark Lima 4-cylinder.
Yeah, Ford
I
inexplicably
want
starts
the
using
the
twin
Taurus
spark.
Show V8 in that.
That would have been kind of
That-
cool. We don't really get many
Yeah.
V8 cars over here, like built here. I mean, we've got what? Some Astons, some Bentleys, and some Rollers, but like they're all German engines. We got Jaguar Land Rover. We got the AJ35. I think that's the only V8 the UK makes.
Arguably, the only way this could have worked with the whole downloaded dude thing is if it was an EV.
Yeah, actually,
That would have actually worked. I mean, it would have been terrible still, but you probably wouldn't die.
There's not really a whole lot you can change on that. I mean, be like the same thing of really, because all you'd have to do then is they would have to artificially limit like, the speed controller.
yeah, but then all that would happen is everyone would immediately go, "Look, I got the top speed one," and it's just to turn the speed limiter off.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it'd be better than doing it with, the Tesla way, but you have to pay $2,000 to do that. That's a load of crap. That. Oh, I know you spent £60,000, I think even more than that, on this brand new car. You need to give us more money if you want to actually use it to its full capabilities, though. So, yeah, enjoy that.
Even better when you sell it, the second owner that has to go pay that again because they turned it off.
I think that's that. How are they allowed to do that? That's such a especially as well when you consider the
Because
fact
people let them and people still buy them.
that. But
I remember
oh, what the hell was that?
Matt Farah. His first thing he said about the Mustang Mach-E was, if you pay $3,000 for an option on this thing, it will actually exist and it will still be there when you sell it.
Yeah, Teslas suck, and Tesla is the one car company I will never, ever, ever, ever cover on this podcast. I hate
They're
Tesla.
not a car company; they're a tech company that makes shitty cars.
Do you know, I was parked next to not the one with the stupid doors, the other crossover they do.
Model 3.
Yeah, I was parked next to one of them earlier, and the panel gaps and the way the panels are lined up on it is so terribly mismatched that I thought, ooh, that's got to be like 5 or 6 years old. No. It is brand new this year, and everything on it is already mismatched. I thought that was terrible. One of
They've been complaining about that since they went into production with like the S's. The panel gaps on them are fucking
yeah.
atrocious.
One of
My
my
favorite anecdote with the Model S is the big screen they were so happy about, and it's like one of their biggest selling points. They could not find a single supplier that would sell them a screen that big that was rated for automotive use. But it's like, oh, it really doesn't matter. So they bought like the same kind of screen you would see as like the Taco Bell kiosk or some crap like that. Or McDonald's, like that kind of like touch screen like you would put in a building. That's the screen they used. Turns out that one of the major deciders between industrial use or commercial use and automotive use is temperature ratings. So you have a screen in the dashboard of a Tesla Model S parked in the sun in LA. The screen just melts and runs out of the dashboard.
Fantastic.
They did not catch this until customers had cars. They found that out through customer complaints, not through our own testing.
Do you know one of my favorite anecdotes about the Model S as well? And it's how you can tell it was designed in California with California brain. So you know how the rear windscreen meets flush with the trunk lid? There's no tray to catch any liquid or anything like that underneath the trunk lid. So if you open that after it's snowed or after it's rained, all of the rain or snow will rush off the trunk lid onto the rear screen and then immediately straight into your boot. Like there's actually videos of like people in snowy areas going, well, I have to open my boot now to get my brush out. And then you get loads of the Tesla fanboys underneath going, oh, well, just don't open your boot in snow then. And Tesla fanboys confuse me. Like, do you know other cars I can open my boot in the snow and my boot doesn't get filled with snow? Like, that's a normal thing to expect. But Tesla fanboys seem to genuinely, like, they seem to exist in this bubble wherein asking a car to do anything reasonable that a car would do is completely unreasonable.
Well, I can't get by the people that defend all the stuff. Like, let's say you've got a salvage title car, you put it back together. They're going to sit there and defend that you can't supercharge it, and then you've then been blackballed from like fast charging with third-party suppliers. But when you look at what totals them out, a lot of time it's minor damage because there's no parts availability. So the rental car coverage for months of it sitting at the shop will total the car.
Yep.
So, you've got something where you're putting maybe a hood, fender, bumper, and headlight on and possibly a wheel. You fix that. There's no reason that car should be blackballed from fast charging. They get away with it.
The only way to get your damaged Tesla fixed is to be a magazine and write a mean article about it.
Yeah, or send it back to Tesla and pay a lot of money for the recert. But there have been cases of people paying like the $10,000 recertification that they do, and then still having their fast charging, which I get. If Tesla blackballs you from their own chargers, it's their network. They have the right to refuse work to you or business to you. But when they can tell other charging companies, hey, don't let this VIN number fast charge with you either, that's ridiculous.
I'm fairly sure there's one guy
they just turn it off in the.
There's a guy that parked his Tesla like sideways at one of the pumps for like Instagram post, and he got banned from fast charging for that. And he has like a fleet of Teslas just to himself, and now he's just in a slight war with Elon to the point where like Elon personally is starting to message him and say, "Stop doing this because we're annoyed at you," because he keeps finding ways to get around the block. But like,
at the risk of making this political argument, and people think that Elon Musk buying Twitter is going to be the return of free speech.
Oh, it's oh god. Have you seen like some of the updates? So I love how he kind of went to the whole thing of, oh, we're gonna unrestrict it, and then slowly you just had to like realize, oh no, you have to put some restrictions on it because otherwise you get nonces and things, and that's not good.
Of course, he has backed out completely because he violated terms of the contract already, and so.
Just to reiterate to anyone who isn't sure, Elon Musk is an idiot, a very high-paid idiot, and has had some smart ideas.
Very, very far off topic.
This is the way this podcast goes. In fact, I've got no other notes on the Visos or whatever, so we can go as far off topic as possible. While we're at it, what's your thoughts on Lebanon, guys? Tesla, Elon Musk, he sucks. Tesla sucks. Ford Visos.
Or it really is a horrible car company, though. Like everything about dealing with them is just miserable.
It's like the opposite of Saab. Saab was great because Saab was never really a car company. They were an engineering company that just started making cars, which meant they made amazing cars but never made any money. Whereas Tesla is crap at building cars and also crap at making money. So Tesla just sucks on all levels. And
There was also the Model S's. Someone brought one to One Lap America one year, like pretty early. Everyone had a complaint though because they couldn't cool the motors or anything worth of crap or the batteries for track use. So at one lap you get an out lap, 3 flyers, and a cool down lap. People would complain, they would get stuck in the run group with the Tesla, and he would take like a walking pace out lap and just throw everyone off. Because if he really, the 3 flyers was pushing the cooling on the car.
That's tremendous engineering. Look at me, I've bought my ludicrous speed car. I can use it twice before I can't use it anymore. If it was like a hyper-tuned thing, I'd get it then. But like, most factory cars can, even bog standard boring shit ones, can do a few laps at like full tilt and still be moderately fine.
I'm going to argue that most like base model cheap cars can do way more flyers than most high-end cars. I've owned a few cars that you only get a couple flyers in them in stock configuration and they're nuclear overheating.
I'll tell you what, the one I thought was amazing. So the GR Yaris, they managed 8 laps at full tilt before the diff overheated. That is,
okay.
Of the Nürburgring. 8 laps of the Nürburgring.
Can we take a second to realize, though, that that's Toyota Gazoo Racing, which pretty much just dominates the World Endurance Car Championship.
Yes, but still.
I'm not surprised if they have something to do with it that it turned out good for motorsports. Can we take a second to appreciate that Chevy built a Corvette to go racing with that you just overheat the blower in 2 laps?
Huzzah!
Yeah.
That's gone tremendously well for them.
The Civic Type R, I believe, also had some cooling issues.
I think they did sort that out eventually. So it came out with coolant issues because they didn't realize it had and I think they added more ventilation or something like that in like a slight facelift but basically they figured that out apparently. But yeah, I know that they overheated a lot.
Okay, I have seen several of those at track events in recent years, and I haven't really seen anyone complain about them getting hot. So
who's
there was one guy
Natasha
though that had an oil filter fall off and oil down the entire Falls Grid Road America. That was fun.
That sounds healthy for both driver and car alike.
Yeah, he pulled up, stopped to talk to me, and then he pulls away. I see there's just a giant puddle he's left in false grid in front of me.
To be fair, it's probably better than losing your coolant hose at like turn 1 or 2 of NCM and just sending it for their lap and a half.
Yeah, that's happened. That did happen.
It's probably better than losing your gearbox.
I don't
Hey, it still worked. I just told him not to go on track anymore.
I probably could have got another session in, but then I couldn't have driven home.
Look, you can just have a new home. Winning is for life. I
He
say
came
this
into
is
pits. He's like, I think the transmission's hurt. I'm like, let me drive it. I drove it. I'm like, yeah, the transmission's hurt.
I still haven't gone racing properly yet. I've been invited to go. I think weekend in July at Kerbera, and I need to try and find an excuse to make sure I can go.
You need to show up here. Come to a Grid Life event like next year, and I'll let you race the late model.
I mean, I happily would, but A, I'll die because I'm inept, and B, that's expensive.
Well, I'll definitely put you in the auto.
Let's see if the whole YouTube and TikTok career takes off, and I'm a multi-billionaire by next year. I will fund a whole series of racing, and I will come over and we will do Grid Life or Lemons, one of the two, depending on just how successful I am. Not successful.
Get
Lemons.
you Grid Life a lot easier than I can Lemons.
Very true. Very true.
I don't have a lot of pull, but I know some. I barely know pull, but I know I don't.
Hi, I've got this friend. They're from Wales. Can they brace, please? No, Daylan. No, I don't know why you've got Northern English people in Grid Life, but apparently you do. But no, Daylan. No, you can't. I'll tell you for why. Too dangerous. I've seen their ticky-tacks, and no, they keep crashing. I saw they spinning their MR2 off the road. Can't be having it.
To be fair, we'll make sure we get you at a track that's got lots of runoff, nothing with tight walls.
Not in CM. Okay.
Just put plenty of soft hedges out for me. That's all I need.
Yeah, I can promise you I can put you in the car in autocross, definitely, and I can probably get you right seat with somebody, buddy. That's about as much as I can promise, though.
That
We have
works for
our
me.
car.
I do need to come over to America at some point. I need to meet you guys
Need to-
in real life for the first time because we've spoken. I mean, most nights on call for gotta be coming up a year now. So, I need to meet you guys in the flesh at some point. But also, yes, I want part of the American racing scene.
Oh God, we need to take him to one of the small town dirt tracks near here so he can watch somebody get punched in the helmet.
Yes.
Yes.
All the violence, all the chaos. Right, lads. I'm going to say that's it for tonight because I think we've genuinely spent the last 20 minutes talking about grid life and MCN.
To be honest, I think our off-topic rant lasted longer than our actual content.
This is very true. This was meant to be a short one tonight because my girlfriend will be here any minute now. You've got an interview coming up, and
Yeah.
what have you got anything on, Tyler? Have you got any fun things for the rest of the evening?
Yeah, I'm gonna go finish putting back together an Allison transmission for a bus.
Alison, I barely knew her son. But yeah, so thanks for listening, guys. There's been a bit of a disjointed one because I've been in Scotland for a week and then really busy with work, so I've not had chance to really put together a proper one here. Hence why Daylan had more facts on the supervans than I did. Thank you, Daylan. This is why, as ever, I keep you around. Where can I find you guys online, Daylan? Where can I find you?
Daylan_C or Daylan_CH and everything. And then basically best place to find my stuff is Daylan_C on Instagram, and then my link tree is in there with all my stuff.
All right, and then Tyler, where can I find you?
Spike383 on Instagram and Snapchat, but that's spelled with a Y. So maybe if Alex is really nice, he'll put it on screen.
If I'm smart enough,
otherwise,
I will do that.
Indiana Diesel on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. And talking of Spike, where's my Spike Speed Shop sticker?
It's sitting on my liquor shelf right now, waiting to be cut.
God damn it! I need my merch. I need to figure out where I'm going to stick it. But yeah, and as ever, guys, you can find me on the YouTube channel you're currently watching. Surprisingly enough, given it's the Alex Twinspark channel, or you can find me on TikTok or Twitter. Not Twitter. I don't like Twitter at all. What's the other one with the photos?
Snapchat?
Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Alex Twinspark, where I'm currently being in it. So I posted a video yesterday saying, if you want, I can roast your cars, and I've been completely inundated with messages since. So I've got a lot of them to break through. But yeah, you can find me on there if you want, guys. But yeah, that's been an episode of Proof of Concept. As you can tell, I'm that delirious. I've been up since 5 a.m. I am destroyed right now. That's been the Ford of Europe episode, which I will do another one of at some point in better detail and will give more clarity to. But yeah, don't know which time zone you're in listening to this, but good morning, good evening, and good night. Thank you for watching. So from Alex, goodbye.
Oh, are we all supposed to say goodbye too?
Yeah. That was what I was leading into there.
Bye, everyone.
It's all right, guys.
Thanks for wasting some time listening to us rant about nonsense.
Till next time, folks.